Hey, I'm Ryan Reynolds.
Recently, I asked Mint Mobile's legal team if big wireless companies are allowed to raise prices due to inflation. They said yes. And then when I asked if raising prices technically violates those onerous two-year contracts, they said, "What the f*** are you talking about, you insane Hollywood ass?" So to recap, we're cutting the price of Mint Unlimited from $30 a month to just $15 a month.
Give it a try at mintmobile.com/switch.
$45 up front for 3 months plus taxes and fees. Promo rate for new customers for limited time. Unlimited more than 40 gigabytes per month. Slows full terms at mintmobile.com.
7 things you don't really need to know, but probably should. I'm Ciara Revin, and this is the Sunday 7.
On this week's edition of the award-winning Sunday 7, we get the inside track on Apple's plans for AI. We hear what it's like to fly Boeing's Starliner, find out what Meta is doing about election deepfakes, and why you need to get ready to chip your cat. If you're enjoying this show, please do like and follow our daily updates at 7 a.m. But before we start, it was on this day in 1963 that Soviet cosmonaut Valentina V. Tereshkova made history by becoming the first woman to travel in space. She was launched into orbit above the spacecraft Vostok 6, which managed to complete 48 orbits of Earth in 71 hours. This week saw Apple's annual developer conference take place in Cupertino, California. They really went all out on the video presentation this year, starting with a skydive from the Apple presentation team and then revealing Tim Cook standing on the roof of the now iconic Apple Park building. That wasn't all. There was also an instantly memeable moment from Senior Vice President of Software Engineering, Craig Federighi, dashed off to do some Parker mid-speech. There was a huge amount of innovations announced, but the central theme was what Tim Cook is calling Apple Intelligence and what we would call AI.
Recent developments in generative intelligence and large language models offer powerful capabilities that provide the opportunity to take the experience of using Apple products to new heights. Introducing Apple Intelligence, the new personal intelligence system that makes your most personal products even more useful and delightful.
Apple are well aware of the drama that other major platforms such as Google have had with AI, so their decision to control how and where it is used and to create their own label, Apple Intelligence, makes a lot of sense. We'll hear from the Smart 7's tech guru Will Guyatt shortly on whether or not this strategy might work. There was more than just AI chat though, with some eye-catching new features, including a maths problem-solving calculator for the iPad, a tap-to-cash feature, which lets you send money directly to a friend's phone, and upgrades for Siri, Photos and Apple Watch. And of course, it wouldn't be an Apple event without an emoji announcement.
Even with thousands of emoji to choose from, there are times when you can't quite find the right one for how you feel. So we're introducing Genmoji. Leveraging the power of Apple Intelligence, you can create Genmoji on device right in the keyboard and match any moment perfectly. Just provide a description and you'll see your Genmoji appear right before your eyes, along with more options to choose from.
It also wouldn't be an Apple event without Apple's superfan and blogger iJustine, and this time she got to catch up with Apple's CEO Tim Cook after the official launch. Tim says that Apple have always had AI elements and that the move to Apple Intelligence just makes sense from a user point of view.
We really didn't talk about it as being AI before. I mean, you look at the watch, and the watch does so many things that AI is at the root of. The fall detection, the crash detection, the AFib detection, all of this stuff is machine learning. But we focused on the benefit to the user, and we do that across our products instead of talking about the technology. But it's clear that people want more and more intelligence in their devices, and we're thrilled with where we've wound up.
It's been a busy week for tech. Between London Tech Week, Apple hosting their developers conference and Elon throwing a strop, we've a lot to catch up on. So whenever tech gets busy, there's only one man to talk to, and that's the Smart 7's tech guru Will Guyatt. Hey Will, how was your tech week?
Yeah, it was great. Thanks for asking. It was the biggest and busiest yet. So the main event had moved to a larger venue and there was stuff going on all around the city. This year was all about artificial intelligence, and companies of all sizes were demonstrating how they're going to capitalise on this tech buzzword. London's Mayor Sadiq Khan said in his opening speech that there were now over 1,500 AI startups based in London, more than anywhere else in Europe. And apparently they raised over £2.5 billion in 20 2023. But my overwhelming takeaway from London Tech Week was that while most of us are talking about this AI future, few are actually delivering it right now. Apple dedicated the second hour of their lengthy presentation designed for developers worldwide on how they're going to start integrating AI tech into their platforms. Apparently, we're going to see Apple Intelligence in beta later this year, which essentially is tech company code for it won't quite be ready, so we're going to use you as our guinea pigs.
So we've just heard from Tim Cook about the exciting new world of Apple Intelligence and all the goodies they've got up their sleeves. Now, what's got you most excited about the Apple announcements?
With an hour of their presentation dedicated to AI, there's almost too much to cover. But for me, it's the idea of Siri finally being able to understand what you're up to, pulling together a schedule from multiple sources of information like your texts, your emails, your DMs, and eventually even your phone calls. Now, that is an absolute dream for disorganized people like me, but surely a nightmare for others.
Explain a bit more about what the difference in Apple Intelligence is.
The genius of Apple is often in their marketing, so Apple Intelligence is a simple but clever way of summing up how they're attempting to position themselves as a consumer champion in this information-hungry world of AI. Apple says that users will be able to access AI services while maintaining their privacy. It would appear that while Apple believes AI can augment and enhance your use of a device, it's not really being used as a platform like other places. This is going to have AI integrated into your features on your phone, and it's not Apple launching a brand new product that we're all going to have to switch to.
And one person who didn't seem thrilled about Apple leaning into AI was our old friend Elon Musk. Why is he so grumpy about it?
Within hours of Apple's announcement, which was actually being quite widely praised by the rest of the tech industry, Elon Musk was pontificating on X that Apple devices would be banned from all of his companies if they launched with OpenAI integration. Even though Apple had clearly announced that ChatGPT interaction would ask users for permission and that their requests and information would not be logged like on other uses of the service, old Elon told us this was an unacceptable security violation. Despite having helped set up OpenAI in 2015, he's definitely no longer a fan. He said it was creepy spyware and added that it was absurd that Apple weren't smart enough to develop their own AI.
X have an AI product called Grok, right? Is that any good?
It's funny you say that because Musk recently raised $6 billion in funding for XAI and its Grok chatbot, which was designed as a service to, and I quote, be a non-woke answer to ChatGPT. And with Apple now seemingly backing ChatGPT, perhaps this is a nail in the coffin for Elon Musk's AI aspirations. And as for whether Grok is any good, it suggests I've written a number of successful books, which I appear to have forgotten doing.
And while we're on the subject of Elon, why has he decided to hide everyone's likes on X?
An engineer for X posted on the platform that making likes private for everybody better protects your privacy, but has left many of us scratching our heads. Musk has previously suggested that people were often attacked on the platform for their choice of what they were liking. So instead of making the platform a safer place by penalising that behaviour, the decision was taken to stop likes being shown. For many, likes have been used to interpret just how successful or popular someone else's post is on the platform, or has been used to check out what porn various Z-listers have liked without realising people could see their likes. As we've long believed, X is now Elon Musk's train set, and if we don't like what he's up to, it's us who are going to have to get off.
Still to come on the Sunday 7, we take a look at America's biggest wind farm and find out what it's like to fly Boeing's Starliner. Climate change and the plans to cope with it have become increasingly politicised, with Green parties losing momentum in last weekend's EU elections. And in the US, Republican presidential candidate Donald Trump has nothing but contempt for the so-called Green New Deal. Wyoming is a Republican state and is one of the largest coal producers in the US, but Governor Mark Gordon has been making big steps to turn his red state green. He's pushing to take Wyoming from not just carbon neutral, but actually carbon negative. In other words, to positively contribute to reducing America's carbon emissions. To do that, he's planning a next-generation nuclear reactor and a huge investment in wind farms. He says Wyoming can be a home to all kinds of energy production.
Whatever you're going to do in energy, probably you're going to have something to do in Wyoming. We have tremendous wind resources. We have the largest reserves of uranium, important for nuclear energy. The largest coal producer. We're number 8 in oil, number 9 in natural gas. 83% of our energy is exported.
Bill Miller is the president of the power company of Wyoming, and he's running a project to build the largest wind farm in the continental United States, taking advantage of Wyoming's wide open landscape. That could see 600 turbines designed to make the most of a natural resource that's been untapped until now, and it will generate enough power that they'll be able to send electricity to California, as Bill explains.
So they'll generate around 12 million megawatt hours of power a year. The wind farm will be something north of $5 billion. The transmission line will be something north of $3 billion capital investment. Society has spoken. That's what this country is going to go to, is renewable energy. More importantly, it's a project that contributes to the zero carbon initiatives that we strongly believe in. It's going to happen, and this is the best place for it to happen.
One of the biggest causes of pollution is single-use plastics. That's those plastic objects that we use and then discard, like, for example, food containers, cotton buds or birthday balloons. Now, scientists in Scotland have turned their attention to finding ways to get more use out of those plastics, and they focused on something that we wouldn't have been familiar with before the pandemic: the dreaded lateral flow test. LFTs have up to now required so-called virgin plastic, and they're responsible for 18,000 tonnes of plastic waste in Scotland each year. It's difficult to recycle the test because there's a risk of contamination. But Alice Street, who is a professor of anthropology and health at Edinburgh University, says we can't just keep incinerating this amount of plastic.
In order to save lives and improve health, we are producing huge numbers of single-use plastic devices, but those same devices are also contributing to a growing burden of plastic pollution globally. We need not only healthcare systems that will contribute to health, we also need healthcare systems that are themselves healthy. The research team have been busy working on the issue, creating new ways to recycle this waste and new techniques to make tests from new recycled material. Maiwenn Kerhoss is a professor of microfluidic engineering at Scotland's Heriot-Watt University, and she and her team have created 5 different prototypes made from a wide range of recycled materials, including chewing gum.
What we're hoping is that through the use of these cassettes, we can promote a debate on the regulations, on the economics, on the customer acceptance of these new materials, and ultimately save 30 to 50% of the carbon footprint of the virgin material production.
Still to come on the Sunday 7, we get the inside track on Boeing Starliner and find out if you should be worried about a deep-faked Rishi Sunak.
Right after this.
Hey, I'm Ryan Reynolds.
Recently, I asked Mint Mobile's legal team if big wireless companies are allowed to raise prices due to inflation. They said yes. And then when I asked if raising prices technically violates those onerous 2-year contracts, they said, "What the f*** are you talking about, you insane Hollywood ass?" So to recap, we're cutting the price of Mint Unlimited from $30 a month to just $15 a month.
Give it a try at mintmobile.com/switch.
$45 up front for 3 months plus taxes and fees. Promo rate for new customers for limited time. Unlimited more than 40 gigabytes per month. Slows full terms at mintmobile.com.
Welcome back.
It took much longer than expected, but last week saw Boeing Starliner successfully deliver astronauts to the International Space Station. There were issues with docking, however, and now NASA says the return of the Starliner to Earth has also been delayed. It's not expected to splash down to Earth until at least Tuesday, but NASA are at least making good use of the time, doing more detailed checks with veteran astronauts Suni Williams and Butch Whitmore. They also took time to do a live stream from the ISS and described what it was like to actually get to pilot the Starliner in real life.
Simulators typically are not as precise as an aircraft, and that is the case with Starliner. This spacecraft, the simulator is a great simulator, but the spacecraft was precise, more so than I would have expected. I mean, we could stop on a dime, so to speak, put it exactly where we wanted, and it would stay there.
It's been an odd week on the space station, with an accidental broadcast of an emergency message that turned out to be part of a first aid drill, but caused plenty of drama. Then Thursday's spacewalk was cancelled due to a crew discomfort issue. Suni says that the experience of being on the space station and the various vehicles which transported astronauts to it has been one of the best parts of the mission.
When you stop and think about it for a second, it's pretty spectacular, all the different spacecraft that are here. And it's fun to sit around the dinner table and talk about how the 3 different spacecraft that we're flying are controlled. So it's a pretty unique venue where you get to talk about how to fly spacecraft, 5 different spacecraft, all in one place.
2024 is the year of elections around the world, with more than 50% of the world's population due to cast their votes this year. We've already seen elections in India, Mexico, Slovakia, Belgium and many more countries, along with the European Union elections last weekend. We've still got our own general election to come, along with a snap French election and, of course, the US presidential election in November. With that many people heading to the polls, the topic of election security and the risks of interference with democratic processes is pretty high on the world's agenda. In the US, an AI voiced fake Joe Biden was used to make robocalls to potential voters to try to stop them voting in a New Hampshire presidential primary. A man has been arrested and charged in that case. So what are the risks of AI or deepfake videos or calls impacting the UK's election? Co-chair of Meta's Oversight Board, which looks after content from both Facebook and Instagram, is former Danish PM Helle Thorning-Schmidt. She spoke to BBC Radio 4 and says it's still hard to tell how big a risk there is.
I don't think anyone has got an overview right now, and we will have that, of course. When we look at many of the elections that happen globally, we have seen that AI plays a role, but I don't think Meta has found one malicious actor that has played a role in any election yet, but we have to see that after. In the UK election, I'm pleased to see that on our recommendations, Meta has put up a good set of ways of tracking this and understanding that, and they have also given access to independent researchers and civil society to know much more about what's going on.
They say you never really own a cat. It's more a case of them owning you. And sometimes they just disappear on whatever mysterious cat business takes their fancy. However, the days of cats wandering free sort of came to an end this week, as new legislation kicked in on Monday that now requires all cats to be microchipped and registered on a database. About 10% of cats are not microchipped currently, which according to a cat protection survey could mean almost 2 million of them. If your cat is not chipped, you could be liable for a £500 fine, and the process is quick and easy. Alice Potter is a cat welfare expert with the RSPCA, and she says it's a matter of common sense.
The point of it is largely to help ensure that as many cats as possible are reunited with their owners as quickly as possible. So we know from introducing compulsory microchipping for dogs, that was 8 years ago now, we know from that dogs that are microchipped are twice as likely to be reunited with their owners than those who aren't. We're also really hoping that it will help deter pet theft and pet abandonment, so there's lots of benefits to microchipping.
This has been the Sunday 7. Wherever you're listening, do us a favour and hit the follow button. We'll be back tomorrow at 7 a.m. with the regular Smart 7. Have a great rest of your weekend. Written, produced and published by Daft Doris.
Whether you're a morning person or a bedtime procrastinator, everyone deserves a mattress that works for their style. And you'll find the best mattress for you at Ashley. The new Temper-Adapt collection at Ashley brings you one-of-a-kind body-conforming technology, making every sleep tailored to be your best. The collection also features cool-to-the-touch covers and motion absorption to help minimize sleep disruptions from partners, pets, or kids. Shop the all-new Temper-Adapt collection at Ashley, in-store or online at ashley.com. Ashley, for the love of home.